Oh, guys, good, you're here. I am so excited. Guess what? I hope this isn't about your podcast again. Why, did you finally listen to it?
Before we start this podcast, let me invite you to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, YouTube, or any podcaster. I'm such a cute. Groomer next door podcast.
Sit down.
Hello, Pups and Kittens, and welcome to the Groomer Next Door, episode 137. I'm your co-host, Chris Green. Sitting next to me, as always, is the fabulous Sarah.
Hello.
And, of course, we have Claire.
Hello.
How you doing?
Good.
Well, I'm glad. Are you still enjoying summer, or are you ready for it to end?
And
I don't blame you. We are, too. We're looking forward to you going back to school as soon as possible. Alright, this week we have a really interesting episode for you. We have a guest that will be coming into the studio in a little bit. Her name is Valerie Ianniello. She is with an amazing organization that I know all of you have heard of. It is called Animal Hope and Wellness Foundation. If you're wondering, I think I remember the name of this organization. I've heard of it. Why does it strike such a topic in my head? Marc Ching is the actual founder of this. He's the guy who goes out to Yulin and China, and he is the one who is actually rescuing all these dogs stuck in these puppy farms, the mutilization that's going on out there. He's the guy who actually is doing it on a daily basis. So she will be joining us a little bit later, and it will be spectacular. Now, something I've come to my attention, Sarah and I were talking about this before we started, is every week we have a fact of the week. But we never talk about it. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to actually read the fact of the week. It's on this week's album art and every week's album art, so that I will actually mention it. Staying in the topic of China and our guest that will be coming on later. Fact of the week is 13 to 16 million dogs are eaten in Asia on a yearly basis. Dog flesh can be found on the menu in North Korea, South Korea, Vietnam, and China. And what's great about having Valerie on the podcast is that she's so knowledgeable when it comes to what's been going on because of her relationship with Marc and how they've worked together throughout all of this. So you're going to be joined by one of the most knowledgeable individuals involved in this horrific act. So with that said, let's dive into the weekly roundup.
the weekly roundup. Yeehaw.
Alright, this week we have a lot of things to cover when it comes to the fostering. This week we've actually been to the vet, 3 times this week. 2 for one of the permanent fosters and 1 for a new foster. Yep, okay. Before you guys all wonder what? Yes, we got another one. We have the kitty bunch at the house. You know, a lot like the Brady bunch. Let's
But with
start.
2 moms
With 2 moms instead of a mom and father, right?
that hate each other
Well,
because they can't stand to be around each other.
well, it's kind of like the Brady Bunch, since it's the freeform version of the Brady Bunch. For any of you who do not know what freeform is,
That
Google
doesn't need
it.
to be explained.
Google it. It's a new network that took over another network.
You know, it's funny when you don't have to explain it.
I know, right? I'm not explaining the joke. All right, so let's start off with this newcomer. You're all aware of that one, so go for it.
Well, there's these 2 customers that Keith goes and picks up their dogs and brings to the shop.
Well, there's many other customers, but these
No,
specific.
there's only 4. These are 2 of them.
Really?
Yeah, there's not very many.
I thought there was like 6 or 8.
No.
Really? Okay,
And then one's such a wishy-washer that hardly ever comes here. She makes an appointment with us, but makes an appointment somewhere else, and then her nephew takes the dog somewhere else. So
whoever is first to open, she'll take that appointment.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. But she'll still take my appointment and not call me to cancel. So.
Right.
But anywho, got done with these 2 schnauzers. Keith takes them on their way to their home, and right before he leaves, the owner of the one schnauzer calls. And I was telling her, okay, well, they're ready. Keith's on his way to pick them up. And she tells me that there is a cat that's underneath her truck right now. And it's a kitten. It's very young, but it's extremely tiny. And I'm like, okay, very young, extremely tiny. We got an orphan kitten that needs its mom, that doesn't have its mom. And she said, it's hot out here. It won't eat. It's trying to drink the milk. And I'm like, you don't give kittens milk. Milk is dairy. Any kind of cow milk can hurt the cat.
Wait, but Tom and Jerry drink milk.
I think Tom did.
That's a
I don't
cartoon?
know if Jerry did.
I've stopped seeing it. Jerry does
okay.
too. But when you look at the cartoons, cartoon
They
cats
smoke too, I thought.
do not give cats cigarettes. Is what you're trying to say here. So don't take everything that you see in a cartoon as fact.
So I look over at Keith, and I hear the blow dryer going in the back room. So I know you were blow drying. I look at Keith. I said, Keith, can you please bring back this cat? And I hang up the phone, and Keith goes on his way. And one of my really good customers were there. And I'm like, oh, Chris is going to kill me. He's going to shoot me right in the face.
Well, like the Brady Bunch, there's only 3 kids, on one side 3 kids, one set of girls, one set of boys. We definitely have exceeded that.
Yes, we have.
Of course, they had a maid, so it made 9 in their house, so it does equal out the number.
It's horrible. So
I'm just trying to, analogy each one.
So Keith brings back this kitten, and it is just emaciated. This poor thing is seriously, how it was going to last another hour out there was going to be beyond me. How he lasted this long was beyond me. There wasn't an ounce of fat on this dog, on the cat. It had no belly. I could feel everything. It was gross. It was disgusting. Oh my god, I started crying when I saw it. It was horrible.
Honestly, it looked like it wouldn't make it past the night.
Yeah, I think it was one of those, it was a 50-50 shot whether or not it was going to survive.
Right, and we're used to this.
Well, I'm not used to this because all the animals we've ever helped survived.
Well, we've had them that have come to us, and it's 50-50 chance that they're going to survive.
But we've always got them to survive.
Well, yeah.
This one, I guess, was a little less of 50-50 chance, obviously, because I was really worried. I didn't want to put him down. That's how worried I was. Because if he was going to die, I'm not going to let him die in a kennel.
Right.
Got him to the vet right after work. I mean, we booked out of work. We're like, vet closes at 5. We have to be there sooner. Let's get our butts down there. So we had to get Katana's flea pill anyways. We get there with the cat. We asked them to weigh him. And
This is on Monday.
on Monday. Monday around 4:10, 4:15. He weighed 1.1 pounds. He should be a 3-pound cat right now. For
Maybe
his age.
2.
No.
You think is he older than what I'm thinking?
I think he's younger, obviously, than Gemma and Carl,
Okay.
but definitely older than Spencer.
Okay.
So I say he would be about 2. Okay, let's just do 2.5 pounds.
Okay.
And he was only 1.1 pounds. I mean, he was skin and bones and not even enough fluid to keep him to sustain. We weighed him then, and since they didn't have an actual appointment, we had to wait. Well, picked up her flea pill, and then they gave us this can of science diet.
It's an AR.
No, AD.
AD.
It's
Sorry.
AD, it's urgent care, and this is what they use to get the animals who aren't eating back to eating again. It's full of a bunch of water, so they get some kind of fluids in them, and just nothing but vitamins and protein and stuff like that to get him to gain weight quicker. He did not have any interest in eating at all. He drank water, though. He drank water the instant I put him down next to the water bowl. He didn't move. He sat in one spot. And it was just pitiful. It scared me. I spoke with Jewel, and she said, well, this is an emergency case. Take him to the vet. I called Dr. Yonke's office, and they said, bring him on in. And this is going to be...
that was on a Wednesday.
That was Wednesdays, because I was giving him the food. He started eating a little bit on Tuesday. Yeah. And he started looking up.
Yeah, he was not walking. He wasn't doing really much of anything. We gave him this food, and kind of we kept him in a nice, safe area where he was gonna, be completely away from any other cats who would, possibly attack, or even the dogs who want to play. And of course, with having, people, cats like Lulu or even Lady McBee, they're going to detect the weakness, and what's going to happen is it's the instinct. They always tend to attack the weak.
Yeah, there's something that goes on in a litter that the mom can tell there's something wrong with that one.
Right.
And instead of wasting all of her nutrition and all of her strength on that one cat that they know already is going to die, they kick it out of the nest.
Right.
And it sounds cruel, but it's the truth. So for some reason, this guy was kicked away.
Or he wandered away. I mean, there's a lot of
mom cats are pretty good about keeping their kittens. Look at Lulu. Yeah. She still meows and calls her kids. Yeah. It's crazy. They're 16 weeks old.
Almost. I mean, or are they now 16? It's something like that. But we'll get there.
Anywho, well, I called Jewel Tuesday, and Jewel said, "Go call the vet." Called the vet. They had it for the next day. You busted through dogs.
Oh, that was
very
quickly. This was a hard one. Wednesday was very difficult because we had not just our normal day. It was a heavy day, and I also had to get out and be at the vet with him by 2:45, which may sound to be not that big of a deal, but it really is. So I was able to get through everything, got him out, got him over to the vet, and at this point, we did see a little bit of progress, which was quite, I would say, encouraging. He started to walk that morning. We started to see him walk. I mean, his back legs were bowed in. He didn't have a lot of stability, but he was still walking, something he hadn't done. So we realized at this point we have a good shot that he's going to go and make it. Mm-hmm. So obviously the vet was the most important. So we took him to the vet. And the doctor had said, wow, he's definitely a special case when you look at him.
Right before you took him to the vet, I decided to wipe some sticky stuff off of his neck.
Right.
And so I got a damn towel wiping the sticky stuff off, and it was brown. And I'm like, why is there dry blood there?
Right.
And as I look, and here is this open wound on his neck, and something that keeps popping up.
Right.
Every time he moved, something popped up and then went away, popped up and went away. So I cut some hair around it so the vet can get to it quicker, and had you have him look at it.
Right, and this was something I hadn't heard of at the time. They're called a warble, and what it is it's a flea, or not a flea, it's a fly egg that gets into the actual neck, like larva in a sense, but it's an egg, clear egg that's in there and burrows through. And it have to get removed. Now, the thing is, if you see one of these, most of the time, and this is according to the vet, most of the time people, what they do is they try to smash it up. And he says, if you smash that up, the chances of your cat dying are a lot higher than anything else. Because that'll get in there and it'll just
ruin their system. It's like an infection spreading through the blood of the body.
So he said, I'm going to take a scalpel, I'm going to remove it. And being the type of person I am, I'm a little weird in some sense. I'm like, can I watch? Because I mean, I want to learn. I want to see this.
I would have to look away. I couldn't handle it. It was like when Claire got her shots for the first time. Oh my god, that killed me.
Yeah, and I'm very intuitive to this. I'm like, ooh, let me see. I mean, because to me it's so. I'm not going to be able to do it myself, and that's not the whole thing. But I want to see this stuff, and I want to ask questions. And as he's doing it, he's cutting and getting through. I'm asking him questions, and he, you could tell he was really interested that I was interested. And we're just going back and forth, and he's telling me, don't crush these up, and this is why, and he didn't use an anesthetic, and I thought that was weird because the scalpel had kind of a hook on it, so it would kind of not lacerate into a large cut, but would cut piece, little at a time. And so I was really interested. I'm like, you don't have to do an anesthetic. He goes, no, it's this part of the skin is not as sensitive, so they don't feel it. So I was like, oh,
that makes sense, because if you ever see the mom cats pick up kittens and move them, they grab by the scruff of the neck. And if you pick a cat up that is flailing and trying to hurt, and if you grab their scruff, it paralyzes them in a sense. They don't move very much, and they just kind of hang there. It doesn't hurt them. Mm-hmm. Now, if you were to pick up Rambo like that, would definitely hurt him because he's so overweight. But that would make a lot of sense with it not hurting.
And I thought that was really strange, and I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And so it took him a while. It actually took a while because, as Sarah had said, it kind of pokes out, and then it goes away. And it's very bizarre, and it took him a long time to cut away, to be able to actually pluck it out. And he was even saying, wow, this thing is really deep. And I asked, well, do they actually the eggs end up there because how does it happen? He's like, well, the cats, they're out in a grass field or some kind of grassy area, and they'll be rolling around, and that egg will have been left there by a fly, and it just rolls onto that part of. They roll on that part of the grass, and this egg gets in there and presses through, and it's quite bizarre. So I was like, okay, and he finally got it out, and the whole time, Lucky, which is this cat's name, was purring, and just you could tell he was really, he wasn't affected terribly, but
he wasn't freaking out or clawing.
Yeah, no clawing, no hissing, no meowing, no nothing. So they gave him IV fluid, and they said what's going to happen is that this warble is pretty much causing him a lot of distress. It's what this is doing is it's eating at him, so he's losing a lot of energy based on this. It's kind of feeding off him like a parasite. Well, yes. Well, it is a parasite, but it's feeding off of him, like as a parasite. I'm trying to stop picking on me. So I was really interested. He had some more AD canned food. He has a vitamin. He has an ointment for that wound. They said he was still a little bit dehydrated even then, but here's the kicker, folks. In a matter of less than 48 hours, he put on 6 ounces, which, that's crazy. He was 1.1 pounds, put on 6 ounces. That's almost half of his weight that he was able to put on in less than 48 hours. That's pretty darn good.
Boom. That is teamwork between us. It is not giving up on this little dude.
Never give it up. Never give up. Never surrender.
And now, today, he's wandering more.
Yes.
He likes standing and sitting on carpet, so he'll go to the rooms that have carpet in it, in our front room and our dining room and our kitchens, all laminate flooring. So he goes into the carpet areas and sits down on the carpet, and he just sits there and chills. He doesn't mind the dogs.
Nope, and they don't mind him, like always.
Don't mind the cats.
So he's, the vet said, wow, what, he was really happy with the progress. And considering this cat was going to pretty much pass, he was gone. And now that we were able to get him up, he says, great, don't stop what you're doing. So that was really what mattered.
He really loves Claire and loves being in Claire's hands. Loves snuggling up with Claire, of course, because every kitten goes straight to Claire. So that's always fun.
And it's always helpful.
Yeah,
now let's move on to, again, we have more foster news with Gemma, Lulu, and Carl.
Yep, Miss Lulu got spayed on
Yes.
Friday. And
you're right.
Gemma and Carl got their shots on Friday. They have to wait another 4 weeks before neutering. But there is a potential adopter for both Gemma and Carl.
Which is awesome.
Because I really want them to go together. They work well together. They love each other. They play very nicely with each other. They've never gotten mad at each other.
The only thing that's going to be hard is Spencer is attached to Carl. But what's going to be great is that we're always, bringing new ones in. And he's going to probably end up being the kitty ambassador for them.
What's great about Spencer is that he loves everybody.
Yes.
He loves dogs, he loves cats, he loves people. So it's not ever a big deal for him. But he will be missing his buddies.
Yeah.
Now, if, say, Gemma and Carl go within the week or so, at least Spencer will have the theater kittens.
Right.
Because he's teaching the theater kittens how to play.
Right. And that's what makes him, almost in a sense, the kitty correspondent, if you really go with it, because he's been right there with them as well. Mm-hmm. And Lady McBee hasn't been exactly receptive to a lot of cats.
She is a typical cat that doesn't want to be around any other cats. She's not spayed. She gets a little, pissy in a sense. So,
Grumpy.
Yeah.
Well, she lives up to her name, Macbeth. She definitely lives up to it. And what the other part that's kind of cute here is, I think one of the things with Spencer being so small, looking like a kitten, which is now a debate: is he a munchkin? Is he a dwarf? What is he?
I think he's a dwarf. I do not think he's a munchkin because, like Jules said, his legs are already longer than a munchkin's.
True. Now we're going to do a podcast about munchkin cats in the future because it is definitely. There's a lot to know about that, but we're kind of debating on that one. That'll come up. But Macbeth is doing good. She's still with us, and apparently it doesn't look like she's going anywhere.
I don't know. I don't know if Jewel wants to give up her foster because she really loves her foster kitty. We were supposed to do a swap, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm up for it whenever she is because these little kittens, the theater
cats.
kittens, are starting to become
Cats?
Spencer type of kittens, and
Yeah.
they're starting to wander, and they're so tiny. And one of them is real super fluffy, and he looks like a half mat. He has like half a mask on.
I'm calling this one Trouble, but the full name on this cat is going to be Phantom Trouble.
But this one, they're all starting to eat.
Yeah.
Hard food.
That's what I was gonna go to. Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah,
that.
they're all now starting to eat hard food. So I have to give Lady McBee more canned food so that it will support the kittens eating.
What's
too.
our canned food looking like? Is you say 4 cans a night, and then they
Yes.
have hard food during the day?
Yeah, it's 4 cans of cat food, and I'm talking about the smaller cans, the 5.5 ounce ones, and the Fancy Feast can. So 3 of the 5 ounce ones and 1 of the Fancy Feast is what we're going through a night, and that's not including Shady Jackson that we feed along the way.
Right.
So, feeding time at our house is insane.
It looks like a soup kitchen in a sense. It really does.
You have the theater kittens starting to come out because they hear the pop top. You have Spencer trying to crawl up my dang leg while I'm trying to scoop food out. And then you have this little teeny tiny, barely standing on all fours, Lucky, trying to come around the bend waiting for his food, and everybody's hissing at him because he's a sick one.
Yep.
So we have to kind of pick him up, and luckily he doesn't squirm yet, so he'll just stay in our arms while we're working. But give him his food in his kennel. Take Spencer and his food to the bedroom so he's away from the other cats. Get Lulu, Gemma and Carl in one area, and then Lady McBee and her kittens in the other area. And then it's clean up, and you gotta clean everything up.
Right.
And then my Akita's sitting there like, don't I get anything?
Oh boy, yeah. And there's special treats for Katana. Now, It seems like a lot, and it really is a lot, but
Changing litter boxes every day.
Oh yeah, that's harsh. And you know what? I'm going to say it here. I've said it on our Facebook page as well, but we've been very lucky. A lot of people have actually wanted to be involved in some capacity by coming over to the shop, dropping off some cat food or cat litter or even cat toys. We've had some really cool people come by, and for that, very lucky.
I am thankful for a can of cat food. I am thankful for a package of food. I am thankful for a 5-pound bag of litter. We are thankful for anything, and it's been nice between Delane and Marilyn and Debbie. It's amazing.
Yeah.
They have helped us out a lot when it comes to buying cat food because we needed help.
Yeah, it's definitely overpowering when it comes to cost.
It was getting to the point where we spend about $50 a week on pet food.
Which it's crazy. It's really crazy how it's been. But
that's a quarter of our food bill.
Yeah. So, and of course, as I always say, you can watch the progress on our Facebook page at the Groomer Next Door podcast. I post something every day, pictures, video, multiple different things going on a day. It's kind of if you're interested in following up on our foster situation.
And Lulu, I was speaking to a bunch of cat people, and we're trying to go over this together as a group, finding what's best for Lulu, because Lulu, she is a split personality. She'll be really sweet 1 second, and seriously 30 seconds into the pet, or 15 seconds into the petting,
I was gonna say last.
She will turn mean.
Doesn't like kids.
Doesn't like kids, doesn't like other animals. She loves her kids. She loves her kittens to death.
Right.
But doesn't like anybody else. So I guess the collective agreement to deal with her is that to get her fixed, get her shots, get the information on a collar, get her a breakaway collar, put it on, and let her be an outside cat.
Which she's got that partial.
She is
feral.
partial feral.
Yeah, and so when you're partial feral, it's very hard to actually domesticate them.
It is, especially when she's lived as long as she has.
Yeah.
Without any real human contact other than get the hell off my lawn.
Right.
And so we have a creek in our backyard, big huge yard. We'll be able to get shelter out there for her and everything else. But
all right, well, we're not going to be doing G&D news this week because we're going to have a really good guest coming on. So we're going to now dive into Guess the Breed.
Guess the breed. With your host, Chris Green.
Hello, contestant, and welcome to Guess the Breed. Well, because we're going to stay in the topic of dogs in China, we chose a dog this week that actually is from that area. Are you ready?
Yep.
All right. This dog is a non-sporting dog breed originating in Tibet. It was bred as an interior sentinel in the Buddhist monasteries to alert the monks to any intruder who entered. Lifespan on this pup is 12 to 14 years. The temperament is lively, playful, spirited, devoted, alert, steady, obedient, energetic, friendly, fearless, intelligent, assertive. Do you have a guess?
I don't have a guess, but I know what it is.
What is it?
It is Lhasa Apso.
Swing, swing.
You are correct.
Yeah, that's not too many dogs are from Tibet.
Yeah, I thought I was going to stump you this week.
And when you said the lifespan, I was like, well, it's not a Tibet massive.
It was one of them I was going to choose, actually. Well, thank you for playing Guess the Breed.
Oh, hello. Hold on a sec. Dad, we have a guest on the podcast.
All right, this week on our podcast, we are very fortunate to have Valerie Ianniello from Animal Hope and Wellness Foundation joining us. And I've told you this just a second ago, I'm a huge fan of your foundation. I love it. Thank you for making the time, and I know you're really busy, so I really appreciate this.
Well, thanks for having me, and thank you for not butchering my last name. It was great. You said it perfect.
That was my biggest fear. I was really worried right now, so if you detected a little bit of fear, that was why.
Okay.
Well, we're going to dive right into all of our questions that we have for you, and I'm going to make sure that we get through as much as possible because I know that you are busy, and so we will go right from beginning to end. So let me start with the first question. That is, what is Animal Hope Wellness Foundation doing to help?
So basically what we are based in Los Angeles, California, and we have been, for the last few years, we focused on rescuing abused animals. So we aren't your friendly pick up neighborhood stray kind of rescue. We get calls from animal control, and they'll have a case. We had a dog we just had who had a bullet wound and shattered pelvis from being run over. And so those are the kind of cases that we'll take, and we pay for all the medical, and then we obviously try to find them the best home possible. And that's our one main focus. We also have a hotline, reportanimalabuse.org, and so Mark, our founder, will get calls from people who animal abuse and report them to us. And Mark will go out in the middle of the night, and sometimes he'll do things that may not be so legal by taking the dogs out of yards that are being abused. And sometimes he'll film things. He'll film the person abusing the animal, and then he'll confront the person and say, I have this footage, release the dog to me, and we'll just call it a day. And a lot of times that's, they will gladly do that, sometimes not. And he has been in altercations as well. He puts himself in dangerous situations often. And then in September of last year, Mark made his first trip to Asia, and he's been rescuing dogs out of slaughterhouses from the dog meat trade. And that's been our focus for the last, 10 months now. He's on trip 8 right now in Korea. And that is Animal Hope and Wellness Foundation in a little nutshell.
Now, I'm going to say, Mark, I talked about this in a couple episodes on our GND News portion. He is actually my hero. Of all the people out there, he is the person that I think my wife and I actually inspire the most to be. And I know that I heard that he had just taken a trip back out there, and he is by far the epitome of animal rescue. If there's a dictionary quote, it's going to have his picture in it, his name. He's got it. He is just absolutely amazing, and that's one of the reasons why I'm so privileged to be able to talk to you, because again, you guys are the top of the ladder in my books.
Well, that's very nice of you to say. Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel very honored to work with him, because he is the real deal.
Yeah.
He is out there, putting himself out there in very, very dangerous situations, all for the animals.
Mm-hmm. He does. I mean, I've watched his YouTube videos. I've seen him all over the place. I mean, he's all over the place. If you don't know anything about him, you'll see him on news outlets, you'll see him on YouTube, you'll see him everywhere. People are always putting stuff about him. He's just absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
My next question is
and
how...
They can follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and Mark posts in real time. So he's posting about his trip as he goes, that he's there now, and people really seem to like that. They want to know where he is and what he's up to, and the stories of the dogs and things like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty much really good about almost the live streaming type of person out there. He's not exactly what I call in front of the microphone, which is awesome. He is... Right. I'm boots on the ground, and I'm doing the work, and I'll show you physically what it is, but, and that's the awesome part. How did your organization get involved?
Well, so basically, last year was the first time that Mark had heard about the Yulin Dog Meat Festival, which happens in Yulin, China, every year during the summer solstice, and it lasts for 10 days, and it's a big dog meat eating festival. That the dog meat trade themselves are the ones who created the festival in 2010 to basically increase sales of dog meat. So when he heard about this, he thought, well, that's crazy. This can't be really going on. I want to go over and I want to see what's happening. And Mark is very fly by the seat of his pants, pick up and go kind of person, doesn't book his trips anywhere. He books like his trip, just this last trip, like 3 days before. So his wife said, no, you're not going to China, to some crazy place. We have 2 small children, you're not going. So he kept basically hounding her and saying, I want to go. And by September, she said, fine, you have to just go. This is clearly what you want to do. Obviously, he missed Yulin, the actual festival in Yulin, so he went to China and couldn't believe that this is what's going on, that people are eating these animals, the companion animals. So he did, his first 2 trips were basically just going to these dog farms and just saving animals that way. And the more he learned on those trips about the torture going on, because they don't just kill the animals. It's not like they just round them up and kill them humanely, if there's even a way to kill any animal humanely, I don't know. But they believe in torture. Mm-hmm. And so that is what really threw him and made this become his life's work, where it was like, how do we as a society, as a human race, allow this type of torture to go on intentionally? And so that's basically how he got involved. He just kept going and going and going back and going back. And each time he went back, he went further and further into it. So he stopped doing the puppy farms because he just thought, well, that's not going to help anything. I want to go in and I want to document and see what's happening in these slaughterhouses. And so then he put a team together there on the ground. He got a translator because he doesn't speak the language. So he got a translator, a driver, and basically they drove him to slaughterhouses, and he would go in as an undercover meat buyer. And so they would show them how they do the torture, how they kill these dogs. And it's just kind of crazy. And they even, some of these places he didn't even have to go in secretly filming. They would welcome him to film because they wanted him to show his boss the torture, so that they could say, look, this animal is getting tortured because that's what's going to make the meat taste better. That's what they believe. So I guess that answers your question.
No, it does. You actually
very long answer.
No. You said it exactly right. I was waiting to see if you were going to mention it. And yes, the torture actually, in belief, is to actually send out endorphins, I want to say, into the meat. And it is the ritual. It is barbaric and bizarre. And I'm with him. I would drop everything. I've even said this to my wife. I would drop everything and go. I would love to go. Yeah. That's one of my...
You're one of those.
I'm one of them, yes. My wife has said it, and she said it on this podcast as well. She couldn't do it. I could do it. If I was told you're leaving in 3 days, I'd be like, I'm packed. That's just how I am.
I wonder, because the reality is, and I'll say this, is that you sound like a very normal person who has a nice, normal marriage and life, and you're rescuing dogs. This destroys you. What Mark has seen and gone through has destroyed him.
Oh, yeah.
He is so mentally unhealthy, and I know that sounds like a judgment or some type, but it's not. He'll tell you, he's like, I am, fucked up. And I hope I can say that on here.
It's a podcast. I can easily change it to explicit. Okay. It's as simple as that.
Okay, good. So he is really, it's hurt his marriage, it's hurt his life, it's total PTSD on such a severe level of the witnessing of this torture, and to watch it, to hear the sounds of these animals, over and over and over and again. I don't think any person is designed to be able to handle that. Any person that actually has a soul. And so I don't know, yes, people say all the time to Mark, I want to go with you. And he's like, let me tell you something. You don't. He's like, it will kill you. It will kill you. It will kill your marriage. It will kill everything. The life you know now will not be your life. And unfortunately, he's already so damaged that he's like, well, I'll just keep doing it because because I'm the only one who can handle it at this point because I've just been doing it. So.
Well, there's another organization in Los Angeles that sends people out to farms and they film horrible conditions.
Sure.
I actually was one of them that actually applied to go and do it.
Wow.
That's the person I actually, and it just seems like a bizarre thing. I want to go out and save these lives. I'm told all the time, well, there's humans out there who need saving. I'm like, but they can talk for themselves. These guys can't. There's no rights for them at all. I want to be there. So does my wife. Yes, we are. That's
well. It's funny how people often say, and it gets me so frustrated. So many people will say, "Well, what about the babies?" or "What about this?" And my answer is always, "Well, that's wonderful. What are you doing for them?" Because I'm doing this. Yeah. You do that, and then we'll all be doing our part. Yeah. As opposed to, so I can't fight for dogs. I'm supposed to fight for homeless and the elderly. And yes, I feel for all of that. It's not just one or the other, but this is my fight. And so this is the fight I'm going after. And I get so frustrated because usually the people who question you are the people who aren't doing anything.
Exactly.
Yeah, and they feel very threatened by someone being a quote-unquote do-gooder, you know, and so... And I think those of us who fight voiceless, it's because something in our past, and I know this for my own personal self, is that you felt you didn't have a voice in your life as a child. And usually we're trying to fix that through this. This is who we connect to. This is the things we connect to our animals. I don't have children. My husband and I are animal people all the way through and through, and that's what we'll always be. But it stems from that, and so I think there's got to be a part of you, too, that if you want to go out and save these lives, there's a part of you, which is what Mark says about himself, is that he's constantly trying to save himself through this work. And there must be part of that, too. So there I am therapizing you.
Well, you know, I thought, I look at it, we have a almost 8-year-old, and I do it, and I think my wife, I can speak for her, we do it because we look at her and we're like, we want to be the best influence for you. So look at what we're doing and look at the compassion we're sharing and all the work we're doing. We're doing it to kind of, you know, set that into her mind. Hey, go out there and help. It doesn't have to be animals. It could be a human. It could be anything.
Anything, right.
But, you know, pick your poison, I guess you could say.
Yeah, no, that is what it is. It's like imagine if every single person did something for somebody else. Whether it be an animal, an older person, a homeless person, a baby, we wouldn't have any of the problems in the world, right? And I know it just sounds so cheesy, but it's true. It really is true. And I get so angry when people, even I don't eat meat and stuff, and I find that people get very threatened by that. You know, there's always the questions about, well, how do you do this, and how do you get the protein, and what do you think about this? You know, and it's sort of like, why are you asking me so many questions? What is it about what I'm doing that threatens you so much that you feel to question me like this? I don't question you how you get your protein.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how. I mean, you can. It's the same thing if you talk about religion. Well, you're not this denomination. Well, how, you know? And that's the same thing. How do you get your nutrition? What's the point?
Everybody live their own lives. So yes. Right.
You know what? You know what it is? This is because we both are from Southern California and we understand that kind of mentality. It does differ as you go throughout the country and world. And I can speak from experience. I've been to other countries and I've been in other parts of of our own country, and it does differ.
Sure. Of course. And listen, and I, you know, Mark, the last trip that he took to Asia, you know, he called it the Compassion Project, and that's basically what we're calling the whole movement. And it's because we want to show compassion to this other side of the world who has been so oppressed.
Yes.
And has been treated so poorly. And of course they're going to abuse animals. Not of course. I mean, they don't all. Trust me, they don't all. I've met so many wonderful people over there who are rescuing and have these little local rescues out there and are fighting this meat trade thing too, and it's amazing. But we are talking about very oppressed countries. They're communist countries, they're poor, and it's not, you know, it's not just the poor obviously eating these animals, but it's the poor who work in these slaughterhouses, just like it is here in our factory farms. You know, who's working in the factory farms? It's the immigrants. It's the workers that we don't want to pay a good wage to. And so, you know, we try to be very compassionate and not judge the people who, number one, work in that field in Asia, and also the people who eat it. Because, again, it's complicated, and there's a fine line, and you don't get anywhere by judging anyone. You know, you just don't. You'll never win an argument if a person feels judged, or because they're just going to be defensive. Mm-hmm. And so we just want to be compassionate and lead by example and teach and say, look, these animals feel things. What's crazy is during this whole trip to Yulin, I was on the phone with many local rescue people in China trying to figure out what we were going to do with all these dogs that Marc saved. And there's a gentleman there. His name's Chris Barden. Maybe someday you should have him on your podcast.
I'd love to.
And he's fantastic. So he's a huge rescue guy. He speaks perfect English and perfect Chinese, and he's huge. Everybody knows him in China, in the rescue world. And I was talking to him, and I wanted to know. I just said, how can these people do this to these animals? Like, explain it to me, because I'm feeling very confused by it. I don't want to judge, but I just don't understand the cruelty and how they could sit there. And he said they actually view these animals as robots. They don't see them as having feelings. I said, but how is that possible when the animal is sitting there screaming and crying, being blowtorched alive for 30 minutes? How? And he said it's just a complete and utter disconnect, that they think it's that they don't even see that. He goes, they know the dogs are trying to get away or they're screaming. He's like, but they don't see it as having feelings. They just have completely believed that that's just not, that they have nothing. And I was so shocked by that statement, because you just can't believe it. You're like, how? But if you're being raised to believe that, and you'll see, like in some of Marc's pictures, there's little boys that are doing the blowtorching themselves. And they're like 7 years old. So I guess if you're raised to believe that, then of course you're going to believe that. And it's a cycle. It's a really bad cycle. And
I think it's product of your environment. It's definitely product of your environment. You're being brought to this, and it's generation after generation, so you don't know any better. This is what you've been taught, this is what your parents were taught, and so on and so on.
Right. And even if you disagree, and even if there's one part of you that goes, this doesn't seem right, you're not going to speak up, because you can't, because you don't have a voice either, especially in those countries. They don't have a voice starting from their youth into their adulthood. Adults don't get to have a say either. So you know how it is, like abusers here in this country, wife abusers, animal abusers, they're angry. They're angry, and they feel powerless, and so they take it out on the thing that has no power, right? That's usually how it's. So it's either the woman that they're beating, or it's their child that they're molesting, or then it's the dog that they're kicking around, and it's the same thing over there, right? So obviously, just to us, it seems so much worse because it's so horrific, and it is. It is. You know, and that's what we're trying to change. That's what we want to change. We've never said don't eat dog meat. We are not advocating. I mean, of course, we'd love that, but that's not our goal. Our goal is to say, can you please just stop the torture? And I don't know if you saw our PSA, but it's with Matt Damon, Walking Phoenix. It's really powerful. And it's all it says is, please just stop torturing these animals.
And I want to make this clear. Because to all of our listeners, that PSA was never the reason why I wanted to talk to you guys. I've been wanting to talk to you guys for the longest time. That was just a bonus that you guys were able to get those kind of names in. If you didn't have them, we would be sitting here doing this interview anyway, because this is just, you guys are amazing. Well, let's move forward, because I know we're going to be running out of time here soon. What is the Victim Adopt program?
So basically, Marc started that when he started rescuing abused animals. He was realizing the connection between an animal who had been abused and a victim of domestic abuse, and figured there's a connection here that we can make between these animals and the humans that are also suffered in the same way. And so that's what he's. We unfortunately, that program is not. It's not as current as it should be, and we need to focus back on that at some point. But because the Asia thing has taken over and it's such a big thing, we haven't had as much. Not say success, because success means we were trying. It just means we haven't had enough time to make it as big of a program as it should be. So we've only had a few cases where we've been able to match up with a victim of abuse. But ideally, that is an area where we want that to grow. It's much like Pets with Vets, I think that's the name of it, or something like that. So they pair up animals with the vets, and I've reached out to them as well because we have a few. Obviously, we think that's another great connection. Pets that have been abused or suffer PTSD from this dog meat trade, that lost limbs, could be paired with a vet who's lost a limb. We just think that could be such a great avenue to get these dogs into homes as well, and also to heal the people who've suffered, to see the resilience of these animals. I mean, as we know, any of us who have dogs so much live in the moment.
Yes.
Not to say dogs don't hold on to some fear and have, we notice a lot of our dogs that come over from the meat trade have nightmares, which is so sad, but mostly they don't walk around with their baggage like humans do. And so we can learn so much from them, how they just live every moment. They're not thinking about what's for dinner. They're not thinking about what happened yesterday. They're not thinking about their problems. They're not thinking about anything but right now in this moment. You see them sitting outside and they just breathe the air in their nose, and they soak up the sun or whatever it is, and you're like, that's how we're supposed to live our days. And so I'm hopeful that we can expand so much in our foundation that will be able to be a program that will flourish. And I'm going to definitely, we will be getting back to that as soon as we hire a few more people. Nobody, it's just Mark and I.
Oh, man.
And we're a very small little operation right now. So hopefully that will be a program that will definitely continue to grow.
Well, one thing I can speak from experience here is, and I'm pretty sure Mark will actually attest to this one, but when you take a dog out of a bad situation, dogs and cats have different ways about expressing their excitement about that part of their life being over with. But I've noticed that once you get a dog out of a bad situation, and it's a split second, so it's easy to miss, they give out a sigh. And it's a sigh of relief, and you'll
feel
know
it in their bodies. Yeah.
I mean, I've heard it every time. It's just this, and you just hear this exhale.
They release.
Yeah.
Release.
And then after that, it's over with. They know it's over. Now we have a dog. We have an Akita that we rescued, and for I want to say 4 years, she couldn't go into our garage because that's where she was abused at. So she held on to it for many, many years. Now she's okay, but even at that, she'll walk through the garage in extreme caution. So some do hold on to the baggage, which it's so sad.
Well, they hold on to it. I understand what you're saying. I think they do hold on to it, but they also are able to enjoy the moments that that garage isn't always on her mind. It's just when she's in the garage,
just walking
or
through
just near the garage, that she was reminded of it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, as opposed to us, we carry our stories around with us. Oh, I'm so this. Oh, my life. It's all that stuff that we could just walk around and feel. You could just look at humans and everyone's frowning and angry and they have problems, and it's different. So but I understand. Yes, of course, there's those versions of that as well.
Oh yeah,
that they hold on to certain things, of course.
But they're able to move on, unlike a human who actually will carry it forever and cannot let it go. Every day they're moping around because of something that happened 5 years ago. A dog can go on with their life and still wag their tail and be happy. Same thing with a cat.
Right.
Cat can go and love you even if it was in a bad situation.
Yeah.
All right. Yes. I'm looking at my clock. I think we're getting kind of close to the time when we have to say goodbye, unfortunately. So I'm trying to summarize this in the best way as possible with my last two questions I have, and that is, what's the rehab process once a dog or cat is rescued from Yulin? or any part of China?
So specifically the dogs from Yulin were different than the dogs from Mark's other trips to slaughterhouses where they're literally in the midst of being tortured. So those dogs where, he watched the dog get its paws cut off, the rehab and stuff is much longer, and most of them don't survive, from the time he gets them out of the slaughterhouse to the vet, it's like 2 hours away usually because they don't have vets everywhere. And the dogs tend to not make it because they're literally just had their guts, like their gut opened with a knife, feet cut off, and all this terrible, terrible stuff. So the dogs from Yulin were different because they were stockpiled at the slaughterhouse. So none of them had been quote unquote tortured, although they had driven for hours and hours in the heat with no food and water, and they don't get fed, and they sit in these terrible conditions. So when he rescued them, most of the dogs had distemper and some had parvo. So that was very touch and go and very expensive, very, very expensive. The vets there, of course, also ripped us off. So we paid a lot of extra money than we would, normally pay. And now they're just well enough to get their vaccination. So it's been about a month of care, of physical care, because they also had they shoved so many dogs into a cage that they have lesions all over their body. Dogs have, major injuries, tails broken, gashes, things like that, plus the distemper and parvo. So it took them about a month for us to get them stable, and now they'll get the rabies vaccine, and it'll be another 30 days till they can travel to us.
Man.
So it's a long, long process.
I would imagine malnourished, emaciated dogs would be a part of it. Dehydration would be a big part of it as well. That's just so hard to imagine that this actually happens. I've said it so many times already, but a whole nother world, and I understand that. All right, the last thing, where can people, and now of course when I say this I'm going to have a bunch of things in our show notes on description, whether it's YouTube or iTunes, I'll have this on there, but where can people learn more about your foundation?
Well, they can go to our website, which is Animal Hope, and that's hope, not health, because a lot of people get that mixed up. It's Animal Hope, HOPE, and wellness.org, animalhopeandwellness.org, or they can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Animal Hope and Wellness. Okay. And you can follow Mark's journey right now, where he is in China currently, and then going back to South Korea, and then he'll be home. We're actually, which is really exciting, we just found out we have been invited to speak on Capitol Hill.
Nice.
With a panel to the dog meat trade. And we're so excited. That's going to be in September, and I just want to throw that out. So that's not really anything else.
I'm so happy to hear that, because I think you guys are the ones spearheading this whole Yulin Festival to be shut down. Pretty much you guys have been the ones to put the voice out there, which honestly is just amazing.
Well, thank you. Thank you. We're trying.
Well, you know what? As I've said already, you guys are literally way above what we are. And you're everything that we look at and we go, man, you guys are the top of the chain, and all we can do is try to, do our part. And that's what we want.
Well, you are doing your part. Don't discount that, because we need people like you guys too. Not everybody can be doing this other thing, and we need all the local people doing their part with the rescuing. And it sounds like that's what you guys are doing too. So we commend you for that, and it's great that we can inspire you. But you inspire us. All the people that are in rescue in general, anybody that cares, puts their life out there and does this for, just out of the goodness of their heart, because, we're not getting rich in dog rescue.
We're not even getting paid for this. We're not even getting paid for the podcast. We pay to host this, and we love doing it, and we have no problem with that.
Yeah, I don't get paid. I'm full-time volunteer right now. I do it because I love it, and I'm lucky I have a husband who can allow me to do it. So, yes, I commend you as well, and I really appreciate you having me on. And, any other time you want to have me, I will be back.
You know what? I'm going to shoot you an email. If you want to send me the information on that one person you were talking about, I would love to get in touch with them. And anytime you, Mark, either one of you want to come on, like I said, I'm going to shoot you information on how to get in touch with me. Just let me know, and I will put any other thing on the back burner so we can have you back.
Awesome.
Well,
Thank you so much.
Good luck today, and I really appreciate your time.
Thanks, Chris. All right, I'll talk to you again.
Bye-bye.
Again, thank you, Valerie, for being part of this week's podcast. Definitely, you and I have a lot of different things that we're going to talk about now that interview is over. For starters, you mentioned something because Sarah listens to these after I'm done, and she puts together her questions, and she said one thing to me that I definitely have to topic on. You said, now say it the way you did, about my energy level when it came to wanting to go out there and
yeah, you were like so excited, and I was like, you probably wanted to make it a point that you were excited to stop the abuse and stop it from happening, not from going and actually seeing it.
Right.
I mean, you were just, I know you are passionate and you don't want this to happen, and I know you would have caved somebody's head in if you were to see it on the street. So I knew that, and I wanted to make sure that came across here.
Right. I'm gung-ho when it comes to stopping abuse. That's the big thing. And that's where it's like, I want to go. I want to be able to go over there. I would love to make a difference. When I look at the videos or read the daily blog by Mark, I see what he's doing, and it's that passion. I want to go over there. I want to stop this, and I don't want to see it. Like she said, it's really turned him, and I can understand that part. That I don't want. I don't want that. I don't want that part of it.
Well, see, and that was the same thing that came up when you were going to go and work for the farms,
right?
And about the, it's.
And you said that.
It would change you,
yeah.
And I know it would. And unfortunately, it does do this kind of stuff. Sorry, I'm fidgeting.
Yeah, I understand that. That's part of the process. Yeah, you're not going to be able to. That's baggage you're going to take with you and never let go.
I mean, the screams alone,
right,
would do us under.
Yeah, I mean.
So it's important for people like us, people like Valerie, to stay behind, to support the person who is willing to sacrifice his mental psyche in order to stop this from happening, or from trying to save as many dogs as possible. And listening to what she was saying and all the stuff that they did, it's really important on both sides, what Mark does and what she does.
Right.
They can't have one without the other.
No, you can't.
And
you have a lot of things you wanted to talk about on that, so I want to drop that to you, considering
my
you went there.
biggest problem is all the notes that I had from this interview was left at work. I am so upset.
And you didn't fall asleep listening to me do a podcast, which is, remarkable. So,
oh, stop. This one was a nail biter,
hard, yeah.
and I was getting angry as I was listening to it.
But angry not at the interview or the conversation, angry at knowing what's going on in China.
And the way they torture.
Right.
The way that they do this to make the meat taste better. I know humans are cruel beings.
Right.
And it doesn't...
Right.
It's unbelievable how cruel humans can be. This is a special type of cruel. They can sit there, and since they were raised in it, that they can hear a dog screaming for its life and their mouth waters. It's disgusting.
To them, it's dinner on the stove,
and oh man, this one's screaming more than others, so this meat's gonna be better than others.
And you think to yourself, what the F is wrong with you? But again, as Valerie put up, it's been going on for so long that they just don't think anything of it.
And what's great about what they're doing now, they're taking it one step at a time. You can't go over there, or you can't start a movement to end the entire festival.
Right.
Unfortunately, it is too big and it's been going on for too long to just say you need to stop it.
Right.
They take the first step, and that first step is stop the torture.
Right. And close down the farms.
Right. To either farm humanely or shut them down. I eat meat. I hardly ever eat red meat, but we typically eat chicken.
Yeah, chicken,
we are very mindful where that fish is coming from, and very mindful when that chicken's coming from.
Right.
I can never be there to watch it happen. I've seen it happen once, and it made me sick. But I still like eating chicken.
I can handle chicken to the point of when it's made, but that's about it. Even at that, I've even been saying I'm getting to the stage where
I'm looking to try to find protein in other areas,
right.
like more of the bean protein, more of the broccoli protein, that kind of stuff. Find protein in other areas other than animals itself.
And I think this comes from saving lives like we have. Mm-hmm. You become, and I think that's really kind of how it really kind of all comes together. Once you start saving animals' lives, you start to look at your dinner plate and think, you know what? I can't eat this. I can't eat.
Yeah, you start getting guilt.
There's that, yeah.
So we have knocked down our meat quite a bit. Like we used to have, growing up, every meal had red meat, and even though the red meat's not exactly good for you, anyways, but all the time, I never liked it. Well, then chicken, always had chicken, and now I'm like, I really. But anywho,
and fish. Like I can handle fish. I just can't handle it. Like last night, you had that salmon that you were looking at the market and it had the skin on the other side. Right. I couldn't do that.
I like the wild caught stuff.
Right.
Not farmed fish, but wild caught. Yeah, you pay more money for it because it was swimming probably within the last few days. But still, it was wild caught.
I can't see a head on anything. I can't.
No.
That's when I'm done.
No. But we're getting off track here.
Yeah, we are. But we're relating to the part where Valarie's veg sharing. It's like I think we're slowly moving in the same direction. Where it's and unfortunately where we're at, there's not a lot of options for vegetarian meals. Unfortunately, where we're at.
Yeah, we just got to do, the more that we're aware of what has the proper nutrition that we need, the more we can switch and find what we like. But to take that into kind of relating the story, what we're talking about and what's going on in China is they've never done this. They've never thought, hey, you know what, eating dogs might be a bad idea, or abusing dogs and mutilating them while they're alive and then eating them. Maybe that's about it. They've never come to that consensus. And they need to know that this is bad. It's torture. But they have not the understanding of the difference between torture, what you should and should not do, what's cruel, what's not cruel. They still do a lot of very cruel things there. They still kill their firstborn if it's a female. The China's only allowed to have so many children, and if the first one's a female, they kill them so they can have another one. So their respect to life is very minimal. There is no life that is worth anything over there.
It does appear like life is just whatever.
Yeah, they don't care. Life's not important.
This is one of those situations where I love talking to her, and obviously I could have gone on, and I'm hoping to talk to her. I'm hoping to talk to Mark again anytime, because again, I understand what he goes through, and I understand that it's a deep cut that you're never going to heal from. I look at it, and every time I see that he closed down a farm or brought more awareness, or now going to DC to speak, you know what, that cut may never heal, and he may never recover from any of this, but the
sacrifice of
the roads that
is great.
Yeah, he's paving these roads that, it's the sacrifice that's going to pave them. And then every single...
And he's just a complete amazing person, too. And when she said that he sits there and he films people abusing the animal and walks up to him and say, hey, I have proof that you just abused that animal. Either you give me the dog or I take you to court.
Oh, I take the dog.
And
I love that.
The part where he threatens them with this video that now in the U.S. is starting to become a felony to harm an animal. And if you have proof, there you go. That's automatic. You're going to jail.
Right.
So either you give me that dog or you go to jail. And they like she said, most time relinquish ownership and lets them take him out of that situation. Now, what I would love to see is their organization team up with the Purple Leash campaign in Canada that helps the abused spouse move out with the animal so that they can both get away from the abuser.
Which is something that I'm going to do when I post this. I'm going to actually get in touch with Purple Leash, because I think that Purple Leash and these guys could actually do something together, bring the two together for their victim advocate program, and hopefully that'll kind of work to their advantage, because honestly,
well, out in California, you always have people walking for some kind of cause.
Right.
They're doing something for someone. They're trying to help. They're trying to change the world. So if they can gather with the Purple Leash campaign that's out in Canada, talk to their chairman or their board, their committee, and see about setting one up in California. You set one up in California, and it can spread throughout the U.S.
Well, it would be a movement that could be in California, and it could be in Santa Monica Beach, it could be in Los Angeles, some part of Los Angeles. I mean, there's a lot of places that this would be a very beneficial march that would happen. And I think that's helpful. So that's definitely something I will do on this, and see if, bridging the two on that part, because honestly,
I don't know if she knows about it.
I don't know if she does either. Definitely,
because Mark is trying to stop this abuse. He's doing what he can while he's here in the U.S. before he goes out to wherever he needs to shut down whatever farm he has to. He does do stuff here. It doesn't stop.
No, it never stops.
It's the same thing with rescuing and fostering. It doesn't stop. You can't just knock it off. I was telling Chris, after all of our fosters make their way to their new home, we're not taking any more fosters for a while, and we're focusing on us.
That'll never happen.
That won't happen. It can't, because I say that, and then 24 hours later, we have another foster.
We'll get a phone call. Hey, there's a dog that just had puppies. It's the middle of summer or middle of winter, and these dogs will die if you don't come out here and save them. And of course, we're going to go out there and save them.
Exactly. So I can see where if it weighs heavy on Mark's heart,
right,
to do this, and whoever is willing to sacrifice their mental psyche, I will get behind and support them here at home while they do what they do. And I loved everything that she said. Valerie pointed out all the amazing points that hit home. When people walk up to you and say, well, why aren't you helping out babies? Why aren't you helping out people? Why aren't you helping out the homeless?
I've been told that.
I have. I have helped a woman decide not to have an abortion, to have the child and give it up for adoption. She said it was the best decision she made in her entire life. I have helped with free grooms to Wounded Warrior Project to get the pets ready to go to their Wounded Warrior. Okay, I have. You have.
Yeah.
You have done plenty for people too. But this is our calling.
Well,
and most of the people who pointed out, saying, well, why aren't you helping the humans, are the ones that do the least.
Oh, yeah.
That don't do anything. They think by swiping their debit card and they ask, do you want to donate $1 to the March of Dimes, that's enough.
Right.
And it's not.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've been told, I'm not even going to mention who, but I was told, well, it's great what you do, but, maybe you should be worried about humans more than anything else. It's like, well, I've helped humans, and
a lot of them are lost causes, and that's my problem.
That's the biggest part, and it's like, I found what I want to actually, help. A lot of times, one day, with work and rescue, or working with volunteering, helping animals, is more than some people have done in months of their life. So don't come down on me and say, well, you need to do more. Oh, I do enough. And yet I go to bed every night thinking I could have done more. You go to bed every night thinking I could have done more. Where those people go to bed and go, I did enough.
Right.
And I'm sick of those people.
It was one of the most powerful moments of watching the movie Schindler's List is at the end when he said, I could have saved more Jews. This car would have paid for more Jews. I could have saved more. And then somebody tells him, hey, you did what you could. Be proud of what you have. Be happy that you did what you could.
There's people that are like us.
You don't ever get that satisfaction. I look at it like, okay, well, I just bought a drink from Panera right now. That is 4 cans of cat food. But I can't because I gotta think of myself too and keep myself up and running. But still, that's the way we think, and that I'm pretty sure is the way Mark thinks.
I'm sure it is. I mean, when we started this whole process of having them on this podcast, Mark was supposed to be our guest, and when he was supposed to come on, he jumped on a plane. Nobody really knew. He jumped on a plane and went back to China. And you know what? I thought, yeah, you know what? I would rather you be out there saving lives, making a difference, than doing a press circuit.
Because I'll tell you what, Valerie was amazing at her interview, and she was spot on. She let her emotions show.
I loved it.
And she spoke articulately.
And
here I am blundering it. Anywho,
well,
but she could handle the interviews very well. So even though we weren't able to get him on the show, we were able to get her, and she was just as good, and she brought so much information.
But
out.
having her on there wasn't like, oh well, she's second best. I'll accept. It was never like that. It was like, hey, I want to talk.
She needs to handle more of the.
Yeah, but I had said, I had told them, because when we deal with guests, we deal with sometimes PR firms, we deal with managers, we deal with all kinds of people when we record these, and. When I was told, well, I can get you the director, I'm like, sure, I'd love to talk to her because she handles all this stuff. She sees it from the administrative point of view. Yeah, sure. I mean, that literally, Valerie, Mark, they were 1-1. I didn't care. There was no 1 and 2. There was a 1-1.
Yep.
And I loved it. So, I would love to do this again with them, and I'd love to have more conversations with them because this was
and to see their
eye-opening.
And see what they have done to change things. I know they have one program that the victim program that they are still working on and still getting in order. Everything takes time, obviously.
And it takes donations.
Yes, that's so I keep telling people if you can't foster, donate.
Right.
If you can't donate, spread the word, volunteer.
Right.
Because you don't have to have a foster in your home to volunteer.
And you don't have to have money in your pocket to donate. There's so many ways of doing this, and this is one of our major campaigns that we're always doing. Is there's ways of getting out there and helping. Don't say, well, gosh, I want to make a difference. Well, I don't have the money. Oh, I don't have the place to put the dog or cat.
We were there.
I don't. We've been down these roads. We
were at the beginning when we started getting involved in stuff. We wanted to help. We didn't have the money to help. We didn't have the space to foster. But we had our physical bodies that we can help.
Right.
So we went to a couple Strut Your Mutts. We have helped out at events, and
I think we went through the gauntlet. We've been through the gauntlet.
Yeah, we're just doing that just to volunteer our time, giving them knowledgeable people.
You're doing very well.
I know. And sometimes that's all it takes. It's just you being there.
Yeah, and that's really the message here, folks. If you can't go out and do it physically, you can't financially, there's always a way of doing it. Pick your poison, so to speak. And whether you want to help humans, you want to help animals, you want to help something. All of it, as long as you have a heart for it and you have a desire, I'll tell you, you'll never find that you've done enough. As we said, you'll never find that there's
you'll
ever
never
enough.
And you never find that you've done anything in vain.
Nope.
It's all worth it.
But you're always going to want to do more. And that's honestly, I'm going to take that at the end. For me, I would rather feel incomplete and never have that completion, because then if I felt complete, then I would stop.
When you get complacent.
I'm not going to ever feel that way.
I'm good enough. We have 30 cats and dogs under our belt saved this year. We're good for the rest of the year.
Right, and a lot of rescues would say, hey, you did more than us. Well, we never looked at it that way. We always looked at, hey, we wanted to hit a high goal to save lives. And it was never going to be met, because if we would have hit 50, we would have wanted 100.
And you can tell with Mark and with
Valerie,
with all of them, they take it the same way.
Exactly.
There is no stopping.
No.
You keep moving forward. You keep getting more lives under your belt saved. And the rehabilitation is amazing.
Yes.
It is long, it is hard, it is strenuous, but at the end, it is worth it.
Right. Well, I know this week we've had a longer podcast, but it was definitely a lot going on that we needed to cover. So we'll try to be back to the hour podcast as our normal. But you know what? It's free, and you had an extra almost half hour of enjoyment. So for that, we hear the applause. That must mean get off the stage and get out of here. So I'm Chris Green. Have a pet-tastic week.
And I'm Sarah Green, making sure everybody realizes life is so short. Play with your pet.
Claire.
Love you.
Try it again. Come over here. Claire.
Love the kittens and pets.
Play with your kittens and pets. Bye-bye, everybody.
I hope you enjoyed the podcast. If you did, leave a like on iTunes or YouTube. Or leave a comment.
And now the show is over now.